Hey, it's Katrina McGee with Loving on Me, and I am so excited to bring some motivation to your Monday. So this week, I want to talk about knowing when to stop talking. Now, I am super passionate about this because in life, we generally are trained to speak up and to say something when we speak. And that's reinforced throughout our life. So, for example, in school, you get class participation grades. How do they define that? Speaking up, being a part of the class. And then as you matriculate through your life, through your career, and through your personal life, it's knowing what to say and how to say it. But rarely are we ever trained on when to stop talking. And that's what I want to talk about today in three key areas. The first is when we ask a question. Now, ladies, you know how we do. We say, does this look cute on us? And then we immediately launch into, because it's really orange and it's kind of tight on my butt and I just don't know. We're answering our own question. So whoever we have asked the question to doesn't get a chance to speak up because we're answering it for them. And usually we're doing that because we're not necessarily interested in their opinion as much as we're interested in them validating our own. You see, we are so conditioned to want people to agree with us, to get that consensus. So even though when we've really made a decision in here or in here, we ask other people. We expect them to validate. When they don't validate, it challenges us sometimes and makes us step back. But truthfully, because 99% of the time we do not stop talking after we ask a question, people just tend to agree with whatever direction we're going. Listen, if we truly want someone else's opinion, if we want to be enriched by each other and allow iron to sharpen iron, we have to learn to stop talking. Ask a person a question you genuinely want answered and then wait for the response. Don't fill it with nonsense. Don't get caught up in trying to explain your position. Wait to hear their own and then respond back. It's part of active listening where you are intent on hearing what they say to understand, not to wait your turn to speak. The second time is when we are rambling. We get caught in the ramble. And this usually happens when we try to state our position or we try to put forth an idea. And this often happens at work. So you'll say something like, you know what, I really think that we need to turn this on its head and come up with a new idea. And then the person's looking at you and you feel like they don't agree with you. So you say, because this one is just not working. I mean, people aren't responding to it and da 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 da. They still haven't said anything. You jump in again and say, and you know, of course, I know we've always done the same thing and we've always had this, but I just think if we move this to the left or put this forward, different things will happen. Person still doesn't say anything. And you're wondering why they're not responding. And they're wondering, why is she talking so much? That's when you know you've got caught up in the ramble. And it's because we're nervous. We want people to agree with us. It's back to that consensus thing again. And when they don't immediately agree with us, we are uncomfortable with the silence. Now, in order to avoid the ramble, you have to stop talking. Learn to state your position clearly and completely, and then wait for the other person to respond. Go back into active listening mode. The best way to put your idea forward is to say it powerfully and then be at peace with the silence. Here's the third thing we do. We have to give somebody some tough love, be it at work, at home, with our kids, or whatever. We have to say something to someone that they may not necessarily agree with, but needs to be said. So immediately we say it, and then we try to explain it. And then we say it, and then they debate back. Because see, if you don't say it and stop talking, a person says, well, I don't necessarily agree with that. And then you're like, well, what don't you agree with? Well, I don't really think that I did that and this, that, and the other. And then before you know it, you're in a debate. You're actually in an argument that you should not be having. And so what we have to learn how to do is say something, speak our mind, particularly when it's tough love, and not get sucked into the debate. So when they say, I don't agree with you, you say, I appreciate your opinion and your perspective, but this is what's happening. And this is where we go from here. You see, sometimes when you're truth telling, you don't have to debate about it. If they don't agree with you, that's not required. For you to give somebody some direct feedback, or with discipline with our children, it's not required that they agree that they did something that was inappropriate. Where you have to agree is, these are the expectations, or these are the parameters. You went outside of those. And so here's what's going to happen next. So this week, I want you to practice knowing when to stop talking. Stop looking for that validation. Resist the need to everybody to agree with your opinion. Avoid the ramble. Say what you're going to say. Stop talking. Go into active listening mode so you hear and respond to what's being said to you instead of waiting to speak. And finally, do not enter any argument you shouldn't be having. You will never win an argument that you shouldn't be having. Listen, I'm loving on me as I love you. Peace and blessing. Bye-bye.